Before we begin, thank you very much to Autobot Gen X for pitching in over on Ko-fi. I'm still getting used to that shout out. I keep wanting to go to the Patreon. No. Ko-fi is the direct way of contributing to the channel. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing so. I don't ask anyone keep this up. I don't ask anyone to put themselves out of their way for my sake. All I ask is please be responsible with your money. I appreciate the support, though, regardless of whether it's Ko-fi, Patreon, or even if you're just hitting like and sharing around the videos, that helps me for free. That also is great, too. Thank you very much, everyone, for letting me continue to do this. So, there's been a few releases that hit a little bit faster than some expected. So yeah, Commander Silverbolt and the 86 Constructicon commanders are already out and about, which means we officially have 10 full molds that were released as the new commander class. So now that we're up to 10, I thought let's just kind of stop right here and just take a look at how they have done and where we are with these as far as just how good they've been turning out, you know? So this is just a simple ranking. This is not a tier list. This is not a here's 10, which is just 10 examples. No, this is just a literal worst to best list in my personal opinion. So keep that in mind. Could be any order. Everyone has a different favorite here. And, you know, frankly, some of these are not in everyone's hands yet, so the opinions are a little bit limited. So we will just kind of play it by ear on those. So it's just my thoughts, okay? And we're starting with like the honorary mention, which is the only repaint so far released for any Commander class toy, being the Shattered Glass Jetfire, who looks cool in his color scheme, but I want to focus on unique and original molds here. So we're going to put him aside. And yes, I know he has new parts, doesn't count. He doesn't count because he has new weapons. This will change, however, because we do know that there's a PulseCon Nemesis Prime out of the Armada mold on the way. So we're getting this out of the way now while this list is convenient to do. But we're going to start off with the 10th place entry, and unfortunately that's going to be our newest one, which is the Commander Constructicons, because let's be honest here. The Constructicons for Studio Series 86 are being sold in whatever size class is required to get them all out within a year's time, which means we do end up with a few unfortunate situations, about as unfortunate as the mistransformations on Longhaul's arms here. For instance, you know, we have what are clearly deluxes with just extra engineering sold at the Voyager class price point, because that helps get everything out within the same year. These being a commander, that's, you know, your $25 per deluxe. You know, they've got a little bit of extra bulk to them, so maybe you consider them Voyagers at $70. You have all the extra parts they need to form their torso mode for Devastator. There's a lot here that you just have to kind of like grit your teeth and accept it. Ultimately, you're paying one price for 6 Constructicons. That's how you have to view it. Add up all the numbers, 25, 25, 35, 35, 90. Add that all up. If that is worth the 6 components and an entire Devastator to you, then go on, be happy. But as an individual release, it really is just kind of 2 deluxes plus some extra junk. On their own, they are not all that impressive for the price point. So we're just going to grade them as their own thing. Coming in at number 9, and this pains me as a fan of the character, but Rodimus Prime's really did not feel like it was worth the price point. The trailer barely did anything. His accessory count's fine, but ultimately the Rodimus just doesn't feel right. It just feels thin. The transformation I thought could have been a little bit better. I thought, like, for the most part, it's okay. It's okay, but it feels like it could have been a lot better. Also, like, I'm also in that boat of, like, I want an 86 version. I think I would want it maybe not as bulky, maybe with the sculpting maybe a little bit closer to the animation model, or just maybe a few extra things with it, you know, so it actually feels a little bit more substantial. things like that. It's okay for what it is, but I don't know. This one just didn't feel like it was worth its money to me. Now, and I know that's not the biggest I know that's not like the rarest complaint or anything. I think a lot of people felt that way. I think it's still a fine toy. I just think it's overpriced. That's all. And I think it could have been done for its price point. I think it could have been done a little bit better, especially given the other things that we've gotten in Commander since this figure came out. And the 8th spot, I'm going to put Jetfire. And this is just, again, grading based on what came later, because let's be honest here, Jetfire is just a really big transformer. It's a very good transformer, and it does accomplish something I wasn't sure we would ever get, which is, a cartoon-based Skyfire toy with those shapes and proportions and giving a size scale that, that's close enough. I could accept that as, Jetfire in my collection of standard size figures. Why not? So for all of that, yeah, I do like the toy, but we will acknowledge it's just really, really big as comparison to everything else in Commander class, which typically goes for a lot of added play value baked into their toys. Granted, he needed this. He needed this size. He's too small to be a Titan, even by the new Titan scale, and it's a very popular character and a popular design they've never properly rendered. So I am very, very happy to see it. I'm happy to own it. I can see mine right over to my right. But I will acknowledge that it's just a really big toy. It's just a really big standard transformer. Someone else who falls into that category, but actually has a lot more part complexity and density behind it, is our number 7. 10, 9, 8, 7, yep, is Ultra Magnus. My grievance with this Magnus is really just the fact that he's just too wide. Magnus should be tall before he is wide, but he is about the right proportions I'm after when it comes to one of these characters, so can't really complain. And he does the thing that I always want Ultra Magnus to do, which is to go straight from big car carrier robot, big car carrier truck into robot. I don't want the white Optimus Prime in between. I want him to work the way he worked in the cartoon, especially if this is like the 86 version, and how the original toy worked is inconsequential. We're going for a cartoon version of Ultra Magnus here, which is essentially what we got. He is dense and very complex in his engineering. I will give him that. I cannot take away anything from that. I just wish proportionally he was a little bit different than how he ended up. Still a pretty good figure. But not the Magnus that I would just pick up to goof around with. I'm still looking at the Combiner War one for that. That might just be my IDW bias as well, but I just like that toy. Like this one too. Maybe not as much though. Our 6th position is another one that wasn't supposed to be out yet, but people already have it, which is weird. That's going to be the Silverbolt. And this one is just... So, I could have put this one a little bit lower. I could have. Because this little weapon emplacement thing they came up with for the extra bulk is not as impressive, and obviously the extra bulk is just kind of tacked on. It's not a character known for a trailer or a super jet mode, but it's what they had to do in order to get his combiner frame worked into the budget and the engineering. It's clever and it doesn't look bad, and but maybe not as substantial as like Motormaster and Menasor turned out to be. That said, it's still a very solid Silverbolt toy. It's still a very solid jet mode he turns into. It does what Silverbolt's supposed to do. Be a robot with a jet hanging off his back. The big thing for me, though, is that he shares in what makes the Motormaster toys so fun, which is having a super mode. You can actually use that frame to super mode your Silverbolt without having to have the extra aerial bots combining on. It's one of the benefits to the frame design. You right out of the box, this has a lot of play value and features to it. You know, even if okay, the big super jet extension thing is inaccurate to Silverbolt, sometimes you don't care. It makes the toy more fun, right? You know, I wish the, air quote base mode, this like little weapon emplacement thing was a little bit more substantial or creative, but beyond that, I think this worked. I think this worked pretty well. You know, so yeah, just a little bit of an odd one. Just a little bit of an odd one. Not as good as Menasor, which spoils this list a little bit. But the boy is trying, you know? I think he's doing his best here. Okay, halfway through the list, and we come up to number 5, and this one I'm going to put down Lynx. This toy turned out way better than I think a lot of us expected. Now, just for the fact that, yeah, everything was retained that you want Lynx to do. He has this big griffin-looking dragon mode. He has the individual Condor and Lynx modes. Like, that's all still in there. And then you worked in a base mode. And, like, you didn't need to work in, like, some weird rocket base mode. But it kind of works. Like, it actually kind of works, which is bizarre. Like, I love that they added that extra level of playability, because you get a lot out of this design in the first place, even more so when you add in all the articulation that you would expect out of a modern figure. There's a lot of pose and playability to both Sky and Lynx. And yeah, they look cool. Like, it's exactly what I would want out of a modern Sky Lynx, you know? Admittedly, maybe a little bit small as a commander class, because, you know, this guy is supposed to be pretty gigantic. This might be one of those where, like, smaller Titan would be appropriate for his size class someday. But for now, I do think this is a really, really good figure. Whether you are, you know, regardless of what you're doing to play with it. Even just like I said, as a Micromaster base, he turned out way better than I think anyone expected him to turn out. He actually looks good in every mode. The only grievance I would have is that you've got to make sure yours has really good joints. Otherwise, this can be a bit of a messy playtime. Beyond that, though, solid figure. Very, very surprising. Still enjoy it. Number 4 is the one I really did not expect to ever be made again. I made a video saying, like, this is a character who will never have another toy. Whoa, and everyone likes to say how wrong I was, and oh boy, this aged badly. Yes, it did. We got a Magmatron. And Magmatron is a fantastic figure. You know, they worked in all the modern articulation I would expect, which is amazing, considering they kept the original design and function behind the entire piece. You know, it's incredibly impressive. You know, between like the complexity of how this toy goes together, all the different molds and paint applications this would take to get all the different colored parts across, the obscurity of the character in the West, I genuinely thought we never had a shot at getting this toy, and I'm glad we did, because yeah, he's pretty good. He is pretty good. They even have the Magmasaur mode built in. I don't think the Magmasaur is as clean as the original one was, but that's owed to the fact the original was a much more simple toy that didn't have all the modern bells and whistles that this toy does. So credit where credit's due, though. It's there. You can do it. And everything else this character has is there. You can have it. Right down to like the little extra swords that make up from the Sky Soar's wings. I didn't expect those to be an included thing. They are. You can have that too. Yeah, it's just a really, really impressive figure. Like, really, really impressive. And just, like, not a direction I ever expected them to go in. So this was really, really surprising from Hasbro. It does make me, like, cross fingers, because that does mean only one Japanese Beast Wars leader character has been untouched. Because we do know that there is leaked listings for a big convoy. That just means that Beast Wars' second Galvatron is missing. This gives me hope that one of my favorite designs ever might actually get a new toy someday. So I'm into this one for a lot more reasons than just it's a really good toy. Number 3 on the list. This is getting very, very easy to predict. I'm going to put down 86 Optimus Prime. Now, this is way higher on the list than Rodimus Prime. And you're going to ask why, because it's kind of under the same category of it's a really good it's a good toy with a box of accessories. And it basically just comes down to they learned a lot from Rodimus, and the execution is far, far better. You have a ton of accessories with Optimus Prime, whether that, including a few that don't fit into the 86 thing, like his Energon axe, but it's just an iconic piece, so that gets to come in as well. You had extra things you could do with the trailer. I mean, aside from the fact Prime's trailer just has more play features than Rodimus, because you've got the combat deck, you've got the vertical mode, you've got, like the little repair drone inside instead of the turret. You have roller. This one came with roller as well. So play-wise, you had more. And then you add in, there's a storage box underneath. There's effect parts to replicate the big scene from the live action, from the animated movie. They went all out on this. They made sure the trailer felt a lot more substantial and felt like there was a good reason for being there other than just Optimus Prime is supposed to have a trailer. And the Prime itself is about as perfect as I can imagine a retail level Optimus Prime being. The engineering on it is fantastic. Like, it is really, really well constructed, like masterpiece level engineering at retail price, and just intuitive. Like, I can transform this figure, even if I haven't picked this figure up for months. I can pick this toy up, feel my way through, and smoothly transform it, because everything that this toy does makes sense. The pattern and the direction everything goes in makes sense. So it's a matter of execution and how much better they have gotten with working within this price point since they did Rodimus in Kingdom. Yeah, that's what gets it so much higher up. It's just categorically a far better toy, which is why I would rather an 86 Rodimus Prime be a new mold rather than a repaint, much as I want just a Rodimus Prime in his correct colors. I would also like him to have the same love and attention that this Optimus Prime got, because let's frankly, that's rare for a Rodimus. But yeah, absolutely sublime toy, absolutely amazing figure. One easily, very, very quickly became like one of my favorite Optimus Primes I've ever messed with. Coming in number 2, here he is. Motormaster, I think, caught everyone off guard. One, by the fact that he was really hard to get the first time around, but also, yeah, this toy was just surprisingly good. Like, it transformed really, really well. Like, having the full Motormaster truck was great, the trailer and all, because, that is kind of imperative to him, more so than Optimus Prime. And I love the fact that, you have this, like, you have this independent figure, and you have this trailer that, yes, it's framework for a combination, a combiner. But you can super mode him, and he works really, really well as a super mode toy. A lot of us just enjoyed playing with him even without the rest of the Stunticons as a result of that. And then you have what you see here, which is a base mode they threw in so he had more to do, and actually it looks pretty good. Like, as a combat emplacement, as some kind of, like, ad hoc battle station on the go, I think they actually did a pretty good job of actually making this look like a fun little play set. If you had, like, extra guns and, if you had, like, Stunticons manning those other 2 positions, and you used your imagination to figure out what those would be, because, that's just how this is. Yeah, like, this is actually a pretty complete package. I thought this was done exceptionally well. I mean, if I'm judging this on its own, just as its own individual package, yeah, it's doing a lot. It is doing a lot. And I think just by nature of the fact that this all works for the original design of Motormaster and plays into just how that character is supposed to look, especially in the vehicle mode, that's what puts it so much higher up than Silverbolt, even though they're technically doing the same things. Motormaster just feels like it does it a lot better. Not to mention, I feel like the figure itself, the core figure of this thing, is better than the Silverbolt when you boil it down. And that leads us to number one. I think this is the easiest one I could have ever picked. But yeah, the Armada Optimus was just, yeah, immediate toy of the year. Immediate toy of the year candidate. Like, everything. Like, here I am. I've never ceases to amaze me that, like, I have to compliment something Armada because it just does everything so freaking well. The overall look is spot on and fantastic. The individual Prime is great. It worked in a base mode, not the same base mode, but still there. And then, yeah, like, what I didn't even, at one time, wasn't even sure was possible, but yeah, full transforming posable legs from that trailer that all integrates itself really well into the combined mode. They did an amazing job. Like, this is one of the best pieces that Hasbro and Takara have made in, like, the last 10 years. Bar none, hands down, like, this is just a phenomenal piece that just impressed me so much, impressed everybody. You know, like, this is what we want Commander to be. This is a perfect example of what a Commander class toy should be. And it's a shame that we're bogged down in combiners right now, because this I really feel like we've gotten away from this, like, this sweet spot. And we know the Unicron trilogy has other ways of hitting this sweet spot. But yeah, I'm happy that this toy exists. I'm happy that I gave Armada a shot here because, yeah, impressive. Really, really impressive. I just have to wait for them to get through all the combiners so I can get the Cybertron Prime. Anyway, that's my ranking. That's my ranking from what I feel is worst to best. Feel free to disagree. It's all your opinion. But yeah, let me know in the comments below how close you felt I got, or which one you thought was the best one. So I'll let you have at it down below in the comment section. And for now, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.